What's going on, everybody? Yannicus here, and today we are going to be reacting to a debate between Andrew Tate and Hassan Piker. I watched this video earlier, and so I already have some thoughts on it. But I'm going to go ahead and play it. It's pretty long. I'm only going to play like the first 5 to 10 minutes because the rest is just redundancy. They pretty much argue like the same exact thing for quite a while. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for those of you who have not seen it, and then give my thoughts on the debate. So without further ado, let's get into it.
You're long-winded the point. You're saying
claims, which is why you resort. Andrew, I've seen some of your work as you're doing the rounds on Twitch here, and a lot of the things that you said that you've been called out on, specifically in regards to like women driving, as a matter of fact, are just generally untrue. There's no empirical evidence to back up those claims, which is why you resort to anecdotes quite frequently and say things like, oh, well, it's just common sense, right? But it's not technically common sense. It's just your personal opinion.
Completely. It's my personal opinion based on my personal biases of my life experience. Now, when I say these, exactly. And when I say these things, X amount of people agree with me and X amount of people disagree with me. That's fine, and that's the same of nearly any statement in the world.
Okay,
I can say the world is round, and there'll be a percentage of people who disagree with me. That's totally and utterly fine. I come on here and talk about my own personal experiences, and my experiences, men are better drivers than women. I'm not saying there's no good female drivers. I'm not saying a female can't.
No. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. There is a truth, and then there is your own personal experiences backed by anecdotes, right? Or your own personal opinion backed by anecdotes from your own personal experiences. Now, your own personal experiences are oftentimes going to be incorrect and not close to the reality. That's why there's an entire field of statistical analysis. That's why we do empirical. That's why we rely on empirical evidence when we're making decisions. Why? Because we all carry a bunch of personal biases. And when we analyze situations, we do not have enough scope to grasp the entirety of the situation. We cannot comprehend it with our human brains.
Bro, listen,
which is why when it comes to women driving, it's a funny point because the truth is different. The truth is the exact opposite.
No, listen. First things first, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. I'm sure you've heard that from Mark Twain. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you're deriving.
You can massage, you can massage numbers, but
you can derive.
You can massage numbers, but so we're only 2 minutes in. Technically, Hassan is winning the debate because he's made an assertion that this is objectively true, and Andrew Tate has yet to challenge it.
You're deriving your truth from an internet study. That's fine. You can derive your truth from an internet study on a bunch of different things. The truth of life is the truth that you experience as an individual. That is the only truth that we all live within. You live within your truth, I live within my truth, because these are the truths I've experienced as an individual. If certain things happen to you over and over and over and over and over again, but the truth on the internet says it's not true, that doesn't mean that your experiences are any less real. So if you to come here and say the internet says X, especially
your experiences can be real. You could be a statistical anomaly, as a matter of fact. You can be one of those people, but more often.
Just an observation. I think this video is from Hassan's channel, so you can tell the editing, the post-production editing that he's doing to silence Andrew and kind of overtake what he wants to say here.
More often than that.
Then I'm going to talk to you because I keep letting you talk and you're finishing your point and I'm trying to talk. So
okay, go ahead.
I'm going to. The fact that you're going on the internet, finding some study and saying that this is the truth, especially after the age of COVID and all the fucking truth we were told with that garbage, you want to sit here and say, oh, the internet said X. I'm sure the internet did. I'm talking about my personal experiences, and some people agree with me and some people do not. That is perfectly fine. Don't give a fuck if people agree with me or otherwise. People are listening to me and they're either agreeing with me or not.
I know, but you're still wrong, and that's the problem.
I disagree with you.
Do you want to be right, or do you want to keep speaking into a hug box where people agree with you? And then, you know, well, if you just completely devalue empirical evidence, actuarial sciences.
Study again. So it's a New York Times study. I actually read it already. It's very brief, by the way. Like, showing the screenshot makes you think it's maybe a long study. Actually, the entire article is almost encapsulated in this screenshot, which is fucking hilarious. It's literally like 2 small paragraphs. And that's because this New York Times article was based around a study that somebody else did right here, Injury Prevention. They're the people that actually did the study. And basically, it's just a very simple study that was done in the UK. It's about 14,500 fatalities between 2005 and here I can pull it up, between 2005 and 2015. So 10-year study, 14,425 road fatalities between 6 different modes of vehicles. So they had cars, vans, trucks, motorcycles, buses, and bicycles. They did not, however, do any sort of age segregation. It was just, were they male, were they female, that were reckless drivers. So a couple interesting things there. One was that it's not in the U.S. 2, it doesn't factor in anything, any sort of age brackets, which I'll get to later on in the video that I think is very interesting. As a point that if I was Andrew Tate, I would bring up. So
the entirety of the insurance industry that relies on making these sorts of calculations to ensure that these quotes are as profitable as possible, which ends up charging men higher rates than women, is a statistical likelihood that men are more dangerous drivers than women across the board and get into more car accidents across the board. If you're going to look at all of that and say it doesn't matter because that does not correspond to my own personal experiences, then you're silly. You're being silly. You're being a silly person. If everyone thought like you did, right, we would have no scientific achievements on this planet. We would still be living inside of fucking caves. As much as I love Liver King personally, I don't think that that would be a good planet to live on. I'm pretty happy for, I don't know, all the medical achievements, all the scientific achievements that we have reached. And at the heart of all of that, all of those accomplishments lies an understanding of arriving at the truth through empirical evidence.
You done?
Yeah.
Cool. In my personal experiences, all of the car crashes I've been involved.
He goes right back to my personal experiences. So technically, Hassan, you can see a smile on his face right here. As soon as he said back to my personal experiences. Tate is not fully wrong, and I'm going to get to that in a second. He's just slightly losing this debate because he's not shifting his approach. He had a pretty good start. Was like, look, yeah, I hear all that, but look, that's not what it is, right? But he needs to now pivot, and what they do is they just go back in circular motion. I don't blame Hassan for doing it because Hassan has the upper hand in this debate. He's asserted this is objectively true, and then Andrew goes, yeah, but even though it's objectively true, it's not mine. He's like, yeah, but it's objectively true. Like it's objectively true. It's objective. Like that's essentially what Hassan does for the next 15 minutes. So what he should do is go, okay, Hassan, you like empirical data? You like objective facts and studies? There's been studies done that show men versus women. Men have a much greater and more advanced and developed hand-eye coordination and reaction time than women. It's just like a genetic thing that has a very simple biological founding and reasoning. And that's because men were hunters. Men's eyes needed to be able to quickly track any movement whatsoever, because it could have either been a risk, something trying to attack the tribe, or some food that they desperately needed to eat before they died of hunger. So reaction times, and then being able to have hand-eye coordination to quickly defend or kill the prey or whatever they were hunting. This is just like a biological objective truth. And so I would bring that up to Hassan and I would go, do you think that has any bearing in what we're discussing right now? Do you think that knowing that, accepting that as a fact, that men have a better reaction time, better hand-eye coordination, do you think that would affect driving? And if Hassan's being honest with himself, which it seems like he would rather, he's more focused on trying to win this debate and just calmly, I mean, he's totally happy to sit back right now and just smile and go, dude, I got this article. You need to come at me with something else. Yeah. So I think the answer to that question is yes. And so I don't think Andrew Tate's anecdotes can be totally dismissed. I mean, I get why Hassan is, but I think Andrew Tate he's had these anecdotes, but he doesn't know how to further approach this, because you can't just keep saying, yeah, but my anecdotes. No, you have to come at this differently. An angle that he should have done. So after bringing that up, okay, you like empirical data. Well, empirical data shows that men have this benefit, which I think would then correlate to driving. What are your thoughts on that, Hassan? And by the way, Hassan, does this article that you brought up by New York Times mention anything about age brackets? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, okay. Well, because here's the thing. I would cede the fact to you that I do think men are a lot more dangerous and aggressive when they're young and stupid. 16 to 25-year-old boys who, by the way, have a much greater fascination with vehicular modes of transportation than women. That's another objective truth. You like empirical truths and data, Hassan. Yeah, men it's objectively true that men. The saying is, males have a fascination with things. Women have a fascination with people. And so I would go, yeah, you know what, Hassan, I do agree that I think, because of facts like that guys have a fascination with vehicles and they have testosterone and going through puberty, that they're going to jump in a car that they absolutely love and they're going to floor that thing and drive aggressive and try to show off their friends and their girlfriends or whatever. However, what about after, say, 25? Wouldn't a study be better that breaks it up into age brackets, say 16 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 35, 35 to 40? I'd be very curious to see a study that's based in the U.S., first of all, that's greater than 14,000, that shows man versus women 30 and up or 35 and up. That would be interesting. Because once you get all of the bullshit, crazy hot rod driving boys out of the way, like one of the modes of transportation in this study was motorcycles. And it said men, in the study, it literally says men are like 6 times more reckless on a motorcycle than a woman. Yes. I think everybody would agree with that without even having to see this study. When you envision someone popping a wheelie on a motorcycle, in your vision, when you close your eyes, is that a guy or a girl? Probably a guy. So, yes, I think there are a lot of guys who are crazier than women, but I also would say that there's a deeper level of nuance here that neither one of them is getting into. Hassan is just pushing the stupid little article from New York Times, and Andrew Tate is pushing his anecdotes. Which, by the way, just for the record, I agree with his anecdotes. I've personally, just from my experience, experienced the exact same thing. I was raised by a single mother. I think I was in 4 or 5 accidents with my mom while she was driving, and then I've dated girls. And I think I've been at least 3 or 4 different accidents with the girls that I've dated while they were driving. Personally, never been in an accident with a guy that was driving. For me, it's only ever been females as well. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just throwing that out there to say that my anecdotes align with Andrew Tate's. However, that's not how you can approach a conversation in a debate like this. You've got to come at it another angle. Something that this reminds me of is if you go back and watch Steven Crowder Change Our Minds segments on the early ones on abortion, whether you like or agree with Steven Crowder or not, set that aside, the debates were interesting because what you witnessed in these were like 2-3 years back, was the guests would sit down, a lot of them emotional, and he would argue that, look, what I think you're doing, I think it's murder, right? And murder's illegal. And to that, they would go, well, yeah, but I should be able to choose. It's like, but I think it's murder. Yeah, well, I should be able to choose murder. No, you can't. That was their continuous response, and all of the guests were doing this. And I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, you cannot win this debate. He just asserted that he thinks this is illegal and it's murder. The only way to further that conversation is to say, I don't think it is murder. Here's why. Same thing to Andrew Tate in this debate. I don't think that study means anything. Here's why. And instead he keeps going back to, well, my personal. If I was him, I'm like, let's pull up the study. Let's take a look.
In all the times my car was hit and all the negative experience I've had on the road, women were at fault. That is, now you can sit here and say the insurance claims say that. I never said the insurance claims don't say that. I'm saying that I am not comfortable with women driving because of my personal experience. Those are my personal experiences. You can drag up all the empirical evidence in the world you want to try and drag up. Anyone with a brain knows how that aids the world agendas anyway. I don't want to go too political on a stream that's going to get taken down. So I'm not saying that I can't find a female race car driver. I'm not saying that.
That's not what I'm saying either. I'm not talking about like statistical anomalies. I'm straight up talking about the overwhelming amount of evidence that suggests that women are more careful drivers than men. Okay? And therefore better drivers than men.
I certainly hope he has more than this New York Times study that was based on injury prevention .bmg.com, because I mean they only again did 14,000 road fatalities. It's like, I really hope he's basing, I mean he's really trying to box Andrew Tate into the overwhelming data. It's like this one stupid little study that factored in almost no variables. All it did was men and women and then different modes of transportation, which I give him credit for even doing that much. Like, but they got to break it up by age and, you know, and then on top of that, there's other levels of nuance, like what's going on with the people, you know, like maybe this guy got fired, maybe this woman was pregnant. I mean, there's so many variables. It's hard to have a truly good, accurate study like this. That's like, well, this is a man, this is a woman, and boom. It's like, no, there's so many other things that it's really hard to factor in. But at the absolute least, you could factor in age. And then have different levels. It's like, okay, yeah, between 16 to 20, yes, men are way fucking more dangerous. However, once you reach 35, you'll see that men, once, you know, there's not being a hot rod crazy person on the road, they are driving better than women. And maybe some of that has to do with the biological and genetic advantages given to men with hand-eye coordination and reaction time.
You keep resorting back to your personal anecdotes. So let me walk you through this, right?
Brother,
do you agree that human beings have biases?
Do me a favor.
Okay. But hey, I respected your time. Do you want to answer my question? Do you believe that human beings have biases?
Oh, absolutely. We're all biased.
Okay.
I think this video is, let me see. Yeah, this is Hassan's channel. You can tell in post-production that they did audio editing to mute Tate's volume and keep Hassan's at a normal level.
Okay.
Completely.
Do you think that those biases might cloud your judgment?
It's not about clouding judgment.
Not just your personal not just your own personal judgment. Do you think our biases might cloud our personal judgment?
I think every single person on earth is biased and lives within a biased
Absolutely.
reality.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, I mean, he's totally ruling this debate. Like he's asserted something that he's like, this is objectively true. Like, boom, have fun with that. And Andrew didn't approach that correctly. Now he's asking him questions. And in debate, he who is asking questions is the one. I mean, that's not even a debate. That's in real world life. The person asking the questions is the person that's commanding the conversation.
True. If you agree with me on both of those accounts, you understand that your anecdotes, your own personal accumulation of information, is going to be clouded by your own personal biases. So you're not going to be able to assess the information adequately in the same way that empirical evidence would. This is precisely why we look at data.
They're both biased. And Andrew has admitted that he's biased. He's like, look, again, it's what he's about to say. It's like, I am saying I'm biased. Like, you're saying back to me what I just said. Yeah, it's my personal stuff. I am biased. Yes. Andrew's not, again, he's not like, there is something there that he can unearth. He's just not approaching this correctly, but there's something there. And Hassan's truly trying to just box him in.
Rather than make arguments around our, wait, let me finish. Come on.
I understand what you're saying.
This is precisely why we do that.
Audio muted.
We're on the same point like 5 times here.
Everyone's saying kick you. You're long-winded the point. You're saying that the empirical evidence is saying X, so it doesn't matter what my personal experience is. That's fine. My point is, let me change it. Let's say that the empirical evidence says that a pit bull is more likely to bite you than a Dalmatian. But in your life experience, every time you went near a Dalmatian, it bit you, and a pit bull never did. Are you going to go up to a Dalmatian still completely and go, oh, it's fine, completely unbiased because the empirical evidence says X when you're covered in scars? No, you're going to say Dalmatians bite me for some reason, and I'm not comfortable around Dalmatians. That's called human nature. Okay. So I'm telling you my personal experiences, and I don't care. I understand your point. Empirical evidence says X. Women in this country can do X. I completely get that. For secondly, it's also country by country because you're only talking about America because you're American and you don't see outside of the world. That's fine.
I'm Turkish, actually. I grew up in Turkey.
That's not the point. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is I'm uncomfortable with a woman driving. And if you actually ask most women, if it gets late at night or it starts getting dark or it starts raining heavily or the parking gets difficult, they usually ask the man to drive themselves. I know.
Okay, he just 7 minutes in, he actually just got a little bit nuanced and he just threw it on right at the end of his point. But like parking, that's another layer of nuance I think would be interesting to study. Who is better at parking? This is something that anecdotally I can also relate with. Almost every girlfriend I've ever had would prefer that I back the car in or that I parallel park. And I, obviously I realize that I have a personal bias in that as well because it correlates to what Andrew Tate's experiences are as well. That's why I think Hassan it's funny he brings up personal biases. I think he's personally biased with trying to win this debate, and he's being a little bit closed-minded with this because there's a deeper level of nuance to this than New York Times brought up. And then if you Google it, just Google New York Times, women are safer drivers than men. It's literally 2 tiny little paragraphs. I mean, you could read it in 60 seconds. It's not it's by no means a deep and thorough article. Even the study is on 1 page. The study by Injury Prevention. They just cover the background, the methods, the results, the conclusions, and that's it. So, yeah.
Many women who do that, they're not offended by my assumption. I know loads of women who go, oh, I don't want to park, you park it. There's not a bad thing about it. Who gives a shit, right? It's not even a big deal. You've come on here deciding you really want to stick up for the chicks and maybe, one of them will drive over to your house. It's cool. We've got better things to talk about.
I look, let's be real. I don't think I need to be a male feminist to be able to attract women, okay? However, having said that, that was a funny implication. Having said that, you are failing to recognize what I am trying to say. I walked you through these steps slowly but surely.
Yeah, Andrew Tate put himself in a box, but they just go back and forth for like the next 10, 15 minutes. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to do a quick reaction and breakdown to that video that I watched earlier. And I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are. If you watch this and have a different opinion or any opinion at all, drop it in the comments below. I'd be curious to read through those. And that's it. See you guys in the next one.